Good morning, good morning. And I have the privilege of standing with the Acting Police Chief Martha Montalvo, the Harris County District Attorney Devin Anderson, and the Narcotics Division. Just a little over a month ago, we announced the seizure of 30 pounds of illegal narcotics, arrests and injunctions that stopped activity at 8 stores that had been selling Kush. Today, we were able to announce 2 more arrests and the seizure of 131 pounds of synthetic cannabinoids, which is equal to 4,067 10-gram bags with an estimated street value of $406,000, and the seizure of $167,625 in U.S. currency. I am very, very proud of the work of HPD and its narcotics unit, the Harris County District Attorney's Office, and the many other entities that are helping us attack the Kush problem. Undercover operations targeting manufacturers, distributors, and sellers is just one component of an overall response. It's important that we keep in mind that this is a substance abuse issue and not a homeless issue. Less than half of the population is homeless. In the 4 months since it was created, HPD's public intoxication team has responded to approximately 600 calls, resulting in nearly 500 individuals taken off the streets and admitted to the city's sobering centers. An unprecedented amount of outreach is going on in the areas frequented by Kush users. However, they are often too intoxicated to engage. We have resources available, but there is nothing that can be done until the substance abuse issue is dealt with. This is a national epidemic, and there is no silver bullet for dealing with it. We are making progress with our comprehensive approach, but there is still much, much work to do until it's under control and no longer taxing our resources. And now at this time, Acting Chief Martha Montalvo.
Yes, sir. Just also wanted to introduce Assistant Chief Mark Curran, who's here. He's with the Narcotics Division, as well as Lieutenant Waterwall and Sergeant Marsha Todd. I'm so sorry, I haven't had my coffee. The Narcotics Division will go into more detail about the arrest and the seizure of over 130 pounds of synthetic cannabinoids that the mayor referenced. Fantastic work on the part of the Narcotics Division, but I also have to acknowledge that none of this could have been possible without the help of the District Attorney's Office, so thank you so much. Since a few months ago, when the mayor announced an aggressive plan to improve public safety, particularly in our parks, by addressing the Kush epidemic, the Houston Police Department officers, along with the park rangers, have been very vigilant in ensuring that our parks become safe again for families. And I think we have been very, very successful in that arena. But we knew that in order to make a stronger impact, we would have to concentrate on the supply side. So as of today, our efforts directed at stopping the distribution of synthetic cannabinoids through retail stores is continuing. The Narcotics Division has now made 46 total arrests from various stores since approximately late June. We have seized hundreds of pounds of Kush along with various assets. As of today, we have seized and or frozen approximately $2.5 million in assets. So over the next several weeks, you will hear, as the result of work by the Narcotics Division, the City Attorney, the Harris County Attorney, and the Texas Attorney General, we will be filing Civil Deceptive Trade and Practices Acts, which are civil lawsuits filed on businesses that have sold these synthetic cannabinoids to the public. And we are not going to relax our enforcement effort. This is a public safety issue. This is impacting the quality of life in our city, and we are committed to continuing this battle. Thank you. Yeah.
Good morning. In urban areas across the country, police officers and those who work in hospital emergency rooms are overwhelmed by the number of synthetic marijuana users. From New York to LA, it has become an epidemic. Many users suffer from permanent brain damage, and some have died from smoking this poison. So once again, I would like to thank Mayor Turner for his leadership in dealing with the crisis here. The mayor has made this a priority, And everyone standing up here has come together. We are united on this issue. And working as a team, we are making a dent in this problem. And hopefully dealers in Houston, Harris County are taking notice. If you are a dealer and you have not been caught yet, you might want to stop or move out of Harris County. Police officers are coming after you, and they have already arrested some of your friends. Our prosecutors have charged them with serious crimes. Our office is also seizing their money so they can't get back into business. And the county attorney's office is suing the businesses who have been selling this poison over the counter. 2 weeks before the major bust that we are talking about here today, HPD teamed up with prosecutors in our major narcotics division and came up with a plan. On the final day, we wrote search warrants for the 2 sites where the police raids took place. One at a warehouse here in Harris County, the other a home in Fort Bend County. As you heard, HPD was able to take 133 pounds of Kush off the streets, and we have seized $167,000 in cash. 54-year-old Rafiq Panjavani and 58-year-old Nashad Pradhan have both been charged with delivery of synthetic cannabinoids, 400 to 400 grams, a first-degree felony. They've made their initial court appearance this morning. Their bonds are set at $800,000 apiece, and they are both still in the Harris County Jail. We are making strides, but we know we have a long way to go. If you're listening to me right now and you are using Kush, you need to stop. This is not marijuana. Every batch is different. It's like playing Russian roulette. Your next smoke could be your last. Tell your friends about the dangers. Google it and look at the horror stories. There are many of them online. And finally, if you are a person who is selling this poison or a business that is, if you know a person who's selling it or a business that is, please call the police and save a life today. Thank you.
Oh, excuse me. Good morning. My name's Mike Waterwall. I'm a lieutenant with the Houston Police Narcotics Division. I'm going to talk to you guys about the actual operation that we did. You can probably see from the pictures how we came up with the name. We coined this Operation Coco Loco. It started in early July. The Houston Police Department Narcotics Division received an anonymous tip alleging that Nassan Pradham and Rafiq Panjavani were major distributors of Kush, the synthetic cannabinoids, in the Houston area. Our investigation began with an undercover UC narcotics officer making contact with Nassan. Mr. Pradhan presented himself as someone who could provide large amounts of packaged Kush and provided the UC officer with samples of the product in each of the various flavors. It's not uncommon to have banana, bubble gum, Coco Loco, all sorts of flavors is what they package this stuff in. After lab analysis of those samples confirmed the presence of a controlled substance, the UC officer contacted Mr. Pradhan and placed a larger order for Kush, which Mr. Pradhan delivered 300 bags of Kush to the UC officer. Lab analysis of that confirmed that it did contain the banned substances, the compounds. Surveillance of Mr. Pradhan revealed a rented storage facility in the 11700 block of the Southwest Freeway, believed to be where he and his partner, Rafiq, were storing the illegal narcotics. UC officers met again with Mr. Pradhan and purchased an additional 600 bags of Kush, which subsequently tested positive for the controlled substance. A decision was made then to place an even larger order of Kush. Noting the significant size of the order, Mr. Pradhan advised that his partner, Rafiq Panjavani, would have to be involved with the purchase. During a meeting, the two men agreed to sell the UC officer approximately 4,000 bags of Kush. With the assistance of the Harris County District Attorney's Office, search warrants were obtained for the identified rental storage unit in Houston and Mr. Pradhan's residence in Sugar Land. Additional arrest warrants were issued for Mr. Pradhan and Mr. Panjavani. Last Wednesday, September 14th, Mr. Pradhan was taken into custody while driving his vehicle. Simultaneously, narcotics officers executed search warrants at the storage facility and Mr. Pradhan's residence. A search of Mr. Pradhan's residence produced a few small bags of Kush and $167,625 in cash, while the search of the rented storage unit revealed over 4,000 individual packages of Kush with a total weight of 131 pounds. Let's see here. That has a street value of $406,000. With the assistance of the Harris County District Attorney's Office, bank accounts identified as belonging to Mr. Prahan have been frozen. A couple hours after Mr. Prahan was arrested, Mr. Pavanji was taken into custody without incident after he arrived at the now empty storage facility where he and his partner had been storing their illegal products. As the DA said, both men have been charged and are still in custody.
At this time, I'd like Sergeant Marcia Todd to come up and give you a little follow-up to when we were up here a couple weeks ago. Sir?
Yeah, not to repeat what the chief said or the mayor said or the DA, but just a little update. As of today, our efforts against retail stores who are selling Kush to customers or citizens of this city it's continuing. The Narcotics Division right now has made approximately 46 total arrests from various stores and other locations since our Kush initiative began in late June. We've seized hundreds of pounds of Kush, along with various assets or the proceeds from the sale of these synthetic drugs. If you remember, recently we arrested some brothers who own the Spice Boutiques, and we came in here and discussed that with you. They were charged with engaging in organized criminal activity. As of today, in that case, we've seized and or frozen approximately $2.5 million in assets for that criminal enterprise alone. We're currently set for trial next week in a Civil Deceptive Trade and Practices Act lawsuit filed jointly by the City Attorney's Office, the Harris County Attorney, and the Texas Attorney General. In that suit, we allege that the business Fantasy, which was located on Westheimer Road, was selling synthetic cannabinoids to the public. And we know this because they sold to our undercover officers on multiple occasions. Subsequent to a search warrant at that location, we seized approximately 77 pounds of Kush from that business alone. And those offices that are in that suit anticipate filing approximately 3 more similar suits against various stores within Harris County over the next 3 to 4 weeks. Thank you.
So at this time, I guess we'll open it up for questions. But again, a lot of our information is coming through these tip hotlines. And so we hope that either we have the 4No Dope, we have Crime Stoppers, and of course we have Stop Houston or StopDrugsHouston.org. Those are 3 great things that we hope the public, if they don't want to approach a police officer, please use these tip lines because they're very, and as you can understand in this case, they were very helpful in us getting into this information and finding out some of the mid-level people who are making and manufacturing and distributing these drugs. So at this time, we'll open up for a few questions.
What's happening right now in the Midtown area? I know from talking to some of the business owners, they have a real concern that the problem in Herman Park made its way to Midtown, specifically across the street from the Sears there by the Metro stop. Their concern is it's making its way into their community. They say they've seen people, for instance, crawling along the street, kissing each crack in the concrete. They're concerned it'll hurt their businesses that they're trying to grow.
And we are following the problem wherever it goes. Initially, several months ago, identified 5 areas that we were going to concentrate on. Herman Park was one, Peggy's Point was another, McKinney and I want to say the downtown area, the Central Plaza, the Public Library, Moody Park. We've since expanded that to like Guadalupe Plaza Park. And so even in this area, in the Midtown area, we are now being very fluid in our approach. And so we will move to where the problem is. The reality is as we clean up in one area, then people are moving to another. And that's going to continue to be the case. But our approach is dynamic enough that we will move to where the problem is. I've also given instructions, for example, to the city to start cleaning up in many of these areas where people are either using Kush or just may have transient population, to kind of go into those areas and clean those areas up in terms of trash and other things that have been left behind. So we will go to wherever the problem is, and now we will concentrate. We're concentrating in that Midtown area, as well as some other areas that we've identified. Okay. So, but as we clean up, attack or shine the light on one area, people are moving to another, and we will move right along with them as well.
Mayor, you talked about this as a public health issue, obviously. What options or treatment options is the city looking at to help these people? Once you've gotten them to the sobering center, or situations like
Right. Mark Eichenbaum, and I would encourage you to speak to him, is kind of giving leadership to this initiative. It's a substance abuse problem. It's a public health issue. All of that combined into one. And so, for example, like now, we're taking people off the street, taking them to the sobering center, and there are several mechanics and logistics involved in trying to provide them with the treatment. At the same time, we are doing everything we can to connect them with detox facilities and substance abuse treatment in other areas throughout the city. For some, we're trying to find housing. But I will tell you the one key component in all of this is behavioral health. That is the one component that really stands out above anything else. And that's attending to the behavioral health issues. And so we're focusing on that as well. We are trying to take a very holistic issue. On this end, thanks to HPD, narcotics, thanks to the Harris County District Attorney's Office, we're cracking down on the manufacturing, selling, and the distribution. That's a key area. If we can get the stuff out of the stores and from being manufactured and distributing, that will go a long way. And then at the same time, it's easy to go and pick up a whole lot of people on the street that are using it, but you have to cut it off at the source. And then for people who are using it, the message is please don't do it. I agree with what the district attorney had to say, Devin Anderson. This is not marijuana. This is 100 times more potent than marijuana. And so we're seeking to take a holistic approach to it, but there is no silver bullet. Okay, it's not a silver bullet. It is a national issue, but we are putting forth as many resources as we can to be holistic in our approach, to reduce the number of people who are using it and walking on our streets, and to reduce the number of people who are selling, manufacturing, and distributing it.
Mary mentioned that about 500 people have been taken off the streets in the past month or two.
In the last couple of months.
In the last couple of months.
Yes.
And also that in this operation alone, there's a $406,000 street value.
That's correct, and I think about $167,000 in cash.
Okay, and so how much does the bag of Kush go for? So can you estimate, in combination with those 500 or so that have been helped on the street?
Let me step out because I haven't purchased any. So let me step away and.
Obviously, like any product, it varies on what we see in the stores being sold for or on the streets. We see it being manufactured or made. If I'm going to make it, I can do so very cheaply, $1, $2 a packet. When I sell it to someone else, into the store, we're seeing those guys buying it for, say, $5 a packet, $10 a packet. But then when they turn around and sell it to a consumer or a user, it can go anywhere from $25 to $80 to $100 a packet. The markup is incredible.
And if I may, that's why this is such a huge problem for us. You can buy a cigarette for a couple of dollars. So this is why we also need to get the message across to individuals that when you think you're doing a good thing, by giving some of these individuals $1 here, $1 there, be cognizant they may not be using it for what you think they're using it for. There are other ways that you can help the homeless population or those that are needing assistance. You can go through organized organizations that can help them, that can give them long-term treatment, food, shelter. But don't be exasperating the problem by giving them money off the streets, because this is what they're using to buy these drugs.
Chief, Chief, in the big scheme of things, in the, so to speak, fight against Kush, how useful are operations like this in the sense that these folks are going to be questioned or already are being questioned? How useful information can they provide in terms of suppliers, the way it works, things like that?
It's very useful because individuals are involved in these type of operations usually are not honorable individuals. So they're going to do whatever they can to make their situation better, and that's giving us information. But for us to have a long-term effect, we got to go after the suppliers. And we may not be able to get everybody, but I want everybody out there that's doing this type of activity to know that we are very aggressive in enforcing the law and going after these individuals that are causing such damage to our city. and eventually we will catch up with you.
And let me just emphasize, too, I want to emphasize that this is a high priority. And the reason why it's a high priority is because anytime we have to pull an EMS unit out to go and pick people up because they are using Kush, having to be taken to ER, it is costing us exponentially more. And it's taxing resources. And there are a lot of EMS calls that we're getting from across the city. But these, in many cases, are the repeat users. We're picking them up. We're taking them to ER over and over and over again. So this is a high priority. For every dollar that we are spending on the enforcement mechanism, we are saving several dollars on the other end. So I do want people to know that as it relates to the city of Houston, if you are selling, distributing, manufacturing this particular item, our emphasis is more on you than on the person on the street that is using it. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I wanted to ask you quickly, and anyone else can jump in as well. The developments in New York City, an arrest has been made in relation to the suspected bombings there. There was an arrest here in Houston over the weekend of a man allegedly buying materials online. He's in federal court this afternoon. Can you talk in general terms about how you coordinate with the feds, other cities, to try and keep things like this from happening in the first place, and then catching people before something is blown up, so to speak?
And I certainly am going to defer to Chief Montalvo on this issue. But let me just say to you, we're always on alert. I mean, we are living in some dangerous times, and every single day, I think we have to be careful. And every single day, we're asking people to take note. If you see something, say something. But we are living in dangerous times, and so we're working and coordinating our efforts with law enforcement on all ends. It's a federal, state, local, at every end, because I mean the reality is that there are people that are out here who certainly want to hurt other folk, and it's not just limited to a geographical location. And what can be happening in New York can certainly be happening in Houston or any other city. So I want all Houstonians to be alert. If you know something, say something. And it's important for us to be working in collaboration with everyone. Having said that, let me yield to Chief Montalvo.
I really can't say anything more than what the mayor has already said. I'm in constant communication with the local FBI SAC, the special agent in charge here. There's coordination and communication which is critical in keeping our city safe. And obviously what happens in New York affects the country.
Chief, just a last question about the actual operation. I thought you guys chuckled when you said that Mr. Punjabi just kind of showed up at the storage facility. Did he just show up by coincidence while you guys were investigating the facility?
Well, we're not disclosing everything about the investigation. We were actively trying to locate him, and he was spotted, followed to the storage location, and so it worked out perfect. I mean, he went back to where he wasn't aware that we had arrested his partner and taken the narcotics, I'm sure. So it was very interesting that he showed up there. He had some other reasons why he was there, what he told us, but he said he thought there was clothes that he was coming to get.
So you followed him there, or while you guys were there?
Yeah, we were there. Well, no, we actually were looking for him. His vehicle was spotted in the area, and as luck would have it, he drove right there. And then we were able to get patrol units there to take him into custody.
Okay, I think we'll close it at this point. Thank you.
Thank you.